Buried beneath the soil of modern Israel lies the ancient city where a demon was once worshipped as a god. In 1996, archaeologists excavating Tel Miqne unearthed a limestone block bearing an inscription that confirmed what scholars had long suspected. They had found Ekron, and with it, the origins of one of the most terrifying names in Scripture. This is the story of Beelzebub. 3,000 years ago, Ekron stood as an economic powerhouse of the ancient world. Over 100 olive oil presses churned out an estimated 1,000 tons of oil annually. But Ekron harbored a darker secret within its temple walls. A sanctuary dedicated to a deity whose name would echo through millennia as a symbol of ultimate evil. Archaeological excavations have uncovered golden images of flies at ancient Philistine sites, silent witnesses to a forgotten cult. The Hebrew Bible first mentions this entity in 2 Kings chapter 1. Around 850 B.C., King Ahaziah of Israel suffered a devastating fall through a lattice in his upper chamber. Rather than seek the God of Israel, the injured king dispatched messengers on a 60-mile journey to Ekron. His mission? To consult Baal Zebub, the lord of the flies. But here is what most have never been told. The name Baal Zebub may have been a deliberate Hebrew corruption. Ancient texts discovered in 1929 at Ras Shamra, Syria, known as the Ugaritic tablets, reveal that Baal was frequently given the title Zebul, meaning prince or exalted one. Scholars now believe the Israelites twisted this honorific into Zebub, the word for flies. Others suggest Zebul means dung. It was the ultimate insult. They transformed Baal the prince into Lord of the Flies, Lord of Filth. The prophet Elijah intercepted Ahaziah's messengers with a devastating rebuke. Is it because there is no God in Israel that you are sending to inquire of Baal Zebub, the god of Ekron? The king would never rise from his bed again. But the story does not end there. By the time of Jesus, this Philistine deity had undergone a terrifying transformation. No longer merely a foreign god, Beelzebul had become the prince of demons. In the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, when Jesus cast out evil spirits, his enemies hurled the ultimate accusation. He cast out demons by Beelzebul, the ruler of the demons. Jesus responded with words that still resonate. If Satan casts out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then will his kingdom stand? Perhaps the most startling revelation about Beelzebul comes from an ancient text known as the Testament of Solomon, dating to the 1st through 3rd centuries AD. In this document, King Solomon interrogates the prince of demons himself. When asked why he alone rules over the demonic realm, Beelzebul delivers a chilling confession. Because I alone am left of the angels of heaven that fell. I was the highest-ranking angel in heaven. According to this text, Beelzebul was once associated with the star Hesperus, the evening star, the same celestial body long connected to another fallen being. Lucifer, the Testament reveals Beelzebul's works. Destruction through tyrants, inciting jealousy and murder, causing demons to be worshipped among men, arousing unholy desires in those dedicated to God. Solomon binds him with a divine ring bearing the seal of God and forces him to parade his demonic legions, each one confessing their name and the means of their defeat. Centuries later, the Gospel of Nicodemus, dating to the 4th or 5th century, presents perhaps the most dramatic scene involving this entity. As Christ descends into Hades following his crucifixion, the realm of the dead erupts in chaos. Hell itself turns upon its prince with furious rebuke. O prince of perdition and chief of destruction, Beelzebub, the scorn of the angels and spitting of the righteous. Why wouldest thou do this? Thou wouldest crucify the King of glory, and at his decease didst promise us great spoils. Like a fool, thou knewest not what thou didst. The gates of brass shatter. The bars of iron break, and the one called Beelzebub watches helplessly as the captives of death walk free. From a Philistine temple in ancient Ekron to the depths of Hades itself. From Lord of the Flies to Prince of Demons, the entity known as Beelzebub remains one of Scripture's most terrifying figures. A deity transformed into a devil. A prince cast down. A name that still carries the weight of ancient dread. The ruins of Ekron stand silent today, 35 kilometers west of Jerusalem. But the questions remain. What dark power once inhabited that temple? And what became of the one they called the Lord of the Flies? Some mysteries refuse to die. In 1947, a Bedouin shepherd searching for a lost goat stumbled into a cave near the Dead Sea. What he discovered would transform our understanding of ancient evil. Among the scrolls hidden for 2,000 years was a document unlike any other. A battle manual for the end of the world. And at the center of this apocalyptic war stood a name that had haunted Scripture for centuries, Belial. The word appears over 24 times in the Hebrew Bible. It means worthlessness, wickedness without value. But here is what few have ever understood. In the Old Testament, Belial was not a being, it was a condition, a spiritual disease. Scripture speaks of sons of Belial, men so corrupt that their very humanity had been consumed by darkness. The streets of Gibeah knew them well. In one of the most disturbing passages in all of Scripture, Judges chapter 19 records how men described as sons of Belial surrounded a house at night, demanding to violate a traveler. The horror that followed was so complete that it nearly erased an entire tribe from Israel. The prophet Hosea would later declare that God remembered the sin of Gibeah, 800 years after the event. The sons of Eli, corrupt priests who defiled the tabernacle, were called sons of Belial, the false witnesses who condemned innocent Naboth to death so that Jezebel could steal his vineyard. Sons of Belial. Wherever cruelty, perversion, and lawlessness converged, this name appeared. But something changed. By the time Jewish scribes began copying the Dead Sea Scrolls around 300 B.C., Belial had transformed from a condition into a creature. The War Scroll, discovered in Cave 1 at Qumran, reveals this evolution in stunning detail. The opening line declares war between the Sons of Light and the army of Belial. Not wicked men, an army. Led by a commander, the scroll describes a 40-year war. 6 battles would end in stalemate, 3 victories for light, 3 for darkness. But in the 7th and final confrontation, the great hand of God shall overcome Belial and all the angels of his dominion. Listen to what these ancient scribes believed about this entity. You made Belial for the pit, angel of enmity. In darkness is his domain. His counsel is to bring about wickedness and guilt. All the spirits of his lot are angels of destruction. God created Belial for the pit, destined for destruction from the very beginning, yet permitted to reign over this present age. The Apostle Paul understood this. Writing to the Corinthians, he asked a question that still echoes. What harmony has Christ with Belial? What fellowship has light with darkness? By the 1st century, Belial had become synonymous with Satan himself, the adversary, the prince of this world. But Belial was not alone. The Hebrew scriptures speak of other entities lurking behind the altars of foreign gods, the Shadim. The word appears only twice in the Bible. Deuteronomy chapter 32 declares that Israel sacrificed to Shadim, not to God. To deities they had not known. Psalm 106 is more explicit. They sacrificed their sons and daughters to Shadim, child sacrifice. The blood of innocents poured out to demons. What most have never been told is this. The Hebrew word Shadim comes from the Akkadian Shedu. In ancient Mesopotamia, a Shedu was a protective spirit, a guardian. The Israelites took a word their pagan neighbors used for benevolent beings and revealed what truly lurked behind the mask. The gods of the nations were not divine, they were demonic. The Talmud would later describe these Shadim in terrifying detail. 6 things are said concerning them. In 3 ways they are like angels. They have wings. They fly from one end of the world to the other. They know what will happen. In 3 ways they are like humans. They eat and drink. They reproduce. They die. According to one tradition, God began creating the Shadim on the 6th day. But the Sabbath arrived before their bodies could be completed. They were left unfinished, souls without flesh, spirits caught between heaven and earth. Other sources say they have the feet of chickens, that their presence can be detected by scattering ashes on the floor and watching for footprints, that they cannot cross running water, that iron repels them. The Apostle Paul carried this understanding into the New Testament. Writing to the Corinthians about pagan worship, he declared that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to demons, not to God. Behind every idol, within every forbidden ritual, the Shadim waited, from sons of Belial walking the streets of Gibeah to an angel of enmity commanding armies of darkness. From foreign gods demanding the blood of children to winged spirits flying between worlds. The demons of Scripture are not myths. They are not metaphors. According to the sacred text, they are waiting. And the war is not yet over.